So, every day I've been praying that God will give me a message that He wants to go out here into the world. And you know what? Inevitably He does. Today was a little later in the day and I started to wonder. And you know what? Went to the gym again. And here we go. So I was working out on the elliptical. Here comes my husband. And he said, I just met a guy back in the locker room, and we were talking about Jesus, and this guy started walking out, and he called to him and said, come over here. I want you to talk to my wife and tell her your story. So I'm going to share his story with you because God has tasked me with sharing people's stories of what God has done in their lives. This is an amazing story. So, he said, yeah, God got a hold of me about 13 years ago, and I'm going to go back into his life. He said, I was raised in a church. I went to church 3 times a week. My family was a church family, was a godly family. And when I was 13 years old, my brother, who was a couple years older than me, went to church camp. And they were playing tug of war and something with the church bus. I didn't quite understand it. But anyway, the driver of the bus didn't see his little brother, and apparently he, or a couple of kids or something, and he ran over him. Anyway, the bottom line is his little brother died. So, when he got the message, when they were at the hospital, when the doctor came out and said, I'm sorry, he's not making it. He said, I was so angry. Because you see, nobody ever prepared us for the fire, for the bad times, for the hard times. He said, we were just encapsulated in this, well, you're a Christian and you believe and life is going to be good and, full of prosperity and roses and whatnot. So he said, I got so angry. He said, I dove into the world and I gave my life over to Satan and I said, give me all you got, Satan, give me all you got. He said, I hated God. I hated him and I blamed him. So he went into a life of drugs and alcohol, and he said it just kept getting worse and worse and darker, and he went deeper and deeper into sin. He overdosed a couple of times on heroin. They brought him back. He said, I attempted suicide multiple times. And he said, and the last time that I attempted suicide, he said, I was hanging, and he said a guy I didn't even know just walked in and got him down. He said, I believe it was an angel because I don't know who he was, and he saved my life. He said, I knew right then and there and then. He goes, I knew that I wanted Jesus, and I knew, but I didn't know how to cry out and call and get him back into my life. And subsequently, he ended up at a Celebrate Recovery meeting, and I've had some pretty powerful times when I've gone to speak at those Celebrate Recovery meetings. So he ended up reconciling his relationship with the Lord. And 13 years, he said, 13 years that I have been sober. I've given my life back to God, and it was just an amazing relationship to sit there and talk to him. And he had the most intense blue eyes. He was really, you could just tell, full of the Spirit. So here's this young man that had overdosed multiple times on heroin, attempted suicide multiple times, but didn't succeed, and now he's an evangelist for God. And I mean, he is just praising Jesus up one side and down the other. I guess my whole takeaway from that was, well, he had on his shoulder, he had a tattoo, and it was Hebrews 6:18, which said, this is the Passion Translation, so it is impossible for God to lie, for we know that his promise and his vow will never change. And now we have run into his heart to hide ourselves in his faithfulness. This is where we find his strength, comfort, for he empowers us to seize what has already been established ahead of time, an unshakable hope. So this young man lost his brother, angry at God, pursued Satan, told him to give him everything he had, and Satan tried to take him out. Satan didn't win. So what? God got a hold of his heart, and now God is using him. You know, it just takes courage, and it takes heart. I received another message I saw on Facebook where another young soldier took his life today. And so every time I do that, it just sends me, every time I hear that, it sends me into a tailspin, because I know it's a loss of hope, and I know it's a struggle. And you know what? I have this one statement. We are invincible until we realize we aren't. And you know what? And it's at that point, when you get down to that place where you have lost all your hope, I'm telling you, the only answer is Jesus. The only answer, because every time and time again, all the times that I speak, going to the meetings, going to the military bases, and here I am in the middle of a conversation with a young kid in the gym that he said, I had seen into the spiritual darkness and seen spiritual battles. He said, people don't think that they're real. He said, but I saw those spiritual battles. He said, I was a Satanist. And he goes, it's real. And people, we have to go out. We have to tell people. We've been commissioned to share this. People are losing their hope daily. And now they're in isolation. And this is what he said, too, that, this is in isolation, so they can't gather together and support and lift themselves up. So if they're not strong in the Lord and they haven't gotten to that point, we've got to find that. We've got to find that place where we can reach out to them. But anyway, I just thought I would get on and share that today, because it's like God is just bringing people through me with these big, huge, tragic stories, and how they, what brought them to the Lord. And it was when they were in a place of not hope, and brought them to a place of unshakable hope. So anyway, I hope you were touched. I was touched by this young man today, and it always just gives me such a great, a great passion to see that, there's people out there that are hurting every day, and that they found the answer. They are the ones that found the answer. And we have the answer, people. Those of us that know, we have the answer, and it's up to us to bring that answer to those people that are hurting, lost, and suffering with lack of hope. So anyway, one other thing, if you haven't joined my group, The Resilient Heart, I just say, hey, jump on over there and join my Facebook group, The Resilient Heart. And I also launched a podcast, and I'm sharing those. I have one coming out tomorrow. It's going to be pretty cool. I've got a video that I'm going to release in the morning about some of the things that are in it that I talk about. So, and it's not me. It's just a really cool video showing where God took me beyond anywhere that I ever could have thought that I could go on my own. I mean, he has done amazing things in my life. Amazing things. I've walked through some hard times, but because I surrendered my heart to him, he has just blown it out of the water. So anyway, I hope you all have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.